All right, what's up, everybody?
What is going on?
Got Josh and Drew here.
Josh Helm in the morning.
Texas Best Barndominium. This is our first podcast.
Is the first.
What do you think?
First of many?
First of many. I think we got a lot of important things we can talk about on any given, moment.
Pretty much.
So we've been doing a lot of work here in this, I guess we could call this a studio at the moment.
It is our studio.
Yeah, but it's a shop, and, I've used this for a variety of different things. Actually, we filmed our cost video right over here across behind where you're sitting.
That's right.
Nearly 1 million people have almost viewed that.
And that is still our number one question that we get every single day.
And I'm wondering, have we really answered the question? People tend to remind me all the time that they still want more information. So,
how much does a Barndominium cost?
And I think we'll spend the rest of our lives trying to answer that, because it's probably changing every few weeks right now.
Yeah. And I think we can definitely address the question soon of is a Barndominium cheaper than a conventional style home, with the price of wood almost doubling right now?
Yeah, because used to you could buy 2x4 for a couple bucks. Now you're spending $6. So yeah, it's relatively changing. But at the end of the day, I wouldn't say that just because lumber prices have doubled or even tripled, it doesn't mean that your building your house has tripled. But there has been some adjustments that have had to be made. So, ultimately we just wanted to kind of kick this off and try to give you an idea, you guys, about what kind of can be in store for some of the upcoming weeks ahead. It's crazy times we're living in right now. The information age, and, people are ever more wanting to know more things about building barndominiums. And, we're trying to make the transition, the adjustments, to be able to see how we can better communicate some of the questions that people have. Because even though I could sit down all day, and Drew could sit down all day, and Brandy and the different ones on our team, and try to go through the comments and the many things and answer them one by one, it's helpful to have a place maybe where we can sound off some of these questions. And so what we're planning to do, and kind of been devising a plan to do, is to maybe go through just a series on a podcast and discuss some of the steps involved on each, going along each way. So, we might have a segment or an episode on foundation preparation, things like that. So how do you think that would help us, Drew?
Well, I think our audience has made it pretty clear that they like information and they like consistent content. So this is going to be another piece of content that we can be able to throw out however often we kind of decided to do this, sit down and do this. But it's just gives a lot better scenario, I guess, to give that information. I know for me, even though I do the YouTube and promoting and everything else, I don't have a lot of time to watch other people's YouTube channel. So literally my time that I either listen to a podcast or watch a YouTube video is while I'm taking a shower.
Well, I would say that, as someone who works so closely with me, you're becoming someone who probably has a few things to say on the subject as well. I mean, you become a connoisseur of things, and you start digesting a lot of the content that is being put out there on a day-to-day basis. Yeah. So I'd say that's got to be something, you might have a different perspective than I do as a builder, but it'd be helpful to have your input as well. Yeah,
100%, because where we are in society today, content is marketing. I mean, that is how you market today, is putting your face out there constantly. People constantly seeing just content about you and about the company and everything else. That's how you grow.
So backing up a little bit, because Drew and I have known each other for quite a while, maybe 10 years or more. I don't know how long we've known each other now.
Probably,
maybe back in 2009 or 2010. I can't remember. I know I met your dad back in that season, and probably met you, but we weren't working together. But,
right.
You know,
we did some music together.
We did do some music stuff. Yeah. Some, what do you call it? Unknown facts, maybe to a lot of folks. You're going to find out things here. But, yeah, Drew's very musical, and I'm very musical. We have a lot of hidden talents and things like that folks might not be aware of.
Yeah.
So, but we're not going to be doing that on the podcast.
we're not going to play, Josh.
I mean, we might. So, but ultimately,
now you sparked the interest.
Yeah, I know. Like, give us something. But you know, I think there's a everyday desire to better communicate. The whole idea of the podcast, I know it's kind of been more of a trendy thing, but we have talked about it from day one, but just kind of backing up to day one, because, you know, we've talked about this before, but in the beginning, this was just a contractor guy out here reaching out to a local buddy who happened to be a photographer and was doing real estate photography and videography. And, you know, I was seeing a lot of your stuff that you were putting across, and because you were documenting the things that you do.
Yeah,
and
it just kind of goes to show that documenting puts it out there,
It
right?
works. And, you know, I guess the goal behind it was to just, and I always tell this story because it is pretty much the identity of how this whole began. It wasn't like me calling Drew and, hey, I've got this master scheme plan. We're going to grow this YouTube channel.
Yeah.
You know, it was more of like I said, a contractor who likes to take pictures too. You know, I love to take pictures. I have thousands and thousands of pictures on my phone at any given time, and also previous history. You know, I could go back and find documented things, but maybe I was not doing it at a level that I wanted to. And when I reached out to you, that was the goal. I think I had some pretty cool projects that we'd been working on for months. And I said, hey, man, really would like to get some pictures taken.
Just to remember those things.
Yeah, just to be able to document it and show potential future clients what kind of cool projects we've been a part of. And out of that, there went Drew's mind. He's just like, oh, I can see HGTV style episodes and all this kind of stuff. And I'm just like, man, I don't know.
You didn't want to do it.
Yeah, I was just like, I don't know about that. But I said, look, we'll try it.
Kind of forced you into it, really. Yeah. Stuck the camera in your face.
That's right. I think we locked it down. I said, okay, for 6 months, we're going to just be committed.
See what happens.
Be committed to it. And I had some other advertising budgets that I pulled back and I put towards doing this way, and really for about 4 or 5 months, we didn't really have a major response, did we?
Not really, not for a while.
I think we were getting a couple hundred views.
Yeah, not until we did our first tour video, and that was the 10,000 square foot Barndominium. Really, we had consistent traction, but we didn't have like a huge number of views. And really, realistically, you're not going to have that right away when you first start YouTube. You know, most of the time there has been a few anomalies, I guess, but most of the time you're not going to get that. But it's the consistency of that content, and definitely YouTube likes consistency. They like to see that, okay, well, they're going to consistently put out this content. This isn't just one time and done kind of a thing. And it's just, and that's where we are today, is just that consistent content, constantly putting things out.
Well, I would say during that time, you know, I remember certainly watching this analytics, and I mean, when you get a channel like that started, or you get things like that going, you are watching it really closely.
Yeah.
And you want to see, of course, any success.
Yeah.
You're hanging on every piece of success, but I don't ever remember feeling like, even in the beginning, that, man, this is really just not going anywhere, you know?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, we were documenting pretty cool stuff, and it gave me satisfaction just to be able to see that,
to showcase it. Yeah. And really, that's kind of how things work as far as, even for me, when I first started doing YouTube and putting out my own content and everything, I wasn't making tons of money doing it, but it was the fact of I'm showcasing my work. I've put forth the work and I've put forth the effort of doing this, so now I need to showcase it. Were they always great videos? No, definitely not all of them were always that fantastic, but I did put in the time to do it. And I think that's where you were as well, is, hey, we've done all this work, whether it was renovation, remodeling, or whatever. This is the work that we've done, and nobody's seeing it besides the client. They're happy, but could other people have some ideas given of, hey, I really like that tile, I like that backsplash in that past house? And that's where we are today, is people gather ideas based on our own YouTube videos and content that we're putting out there.
And that's what's amazing about it, because definitely had no idea that it would be something like that could be an inspiration. But I do remember early on when we started down this journey, you were saying, hey, I listened to this guy Gary V and these kind of things, and I started kind of listening in on some of these thought processes and trying to change and transform my mentality, because it became more of a sharing of knowledge.
Yep.
And I think as we took that approach, it's really been beneficial for a lot of people who are trying to glean or understand better the process. And, and because of that, we've been able to reach a really broad audience across the country, which has been amazing. I think just in the last year alone, I looked at the stats the other day, overall our whole channel's like 7.5 million views, and just in the last year, Drew, is 6.5 million views just in 2020.
Wow.
This
terrible
last year that we just had,
just this last year. A lot of people have a lot of time to sit at home and watch our videos. I think another goal of mine from the very beginning was to make your face a familiar face, not just your face, but in Texas Best in general, to make it a familiar brand that people already know it. So I know some of our clientele is even communicated, I feel like I've known you before I even met you, and it's become that because you've become a personality.
This is when you designed the whole beard thing, right?
The whole beard thing, the beard.
This is when you drew this on my face. Oh my goodness!
But you've become a personality on here, and when people come, or when you go and do a consultation or whatever, they already kind of know your personality and how you work and how you think and kind of the process of what's going on. So it's not as they're not as apprehensive maybe to move along with the project.
I've been surprised by that I feel like I fall right in at home when I go meet potential new clients. They already feel like they know me, and they very well do, because a lot of this, it's not scripted. We've never really tried to script anything.
No, in fact, I have tried to do that more, and that hasn't worked out. And
I'm not a good actor.
That's not. Yeah, you're not. Yeah, but it just hasn't. It hasn't gone that way. When we're doing construction, you can't say, "Hey, re-pour that concrete again. I didn't get the shot." It's just kind of for a filmmaker, in that sense, I've had to learn how to not step back, but become a little bit more raw in the aspect of just allowing what happens and trying to capture as much as we can to tell that story. Because me as a filmmaker, like, I still, at the end of the day, what is the story? What are we bringing across? And, making sure that we capture all of that part.
Absolutely. And, I've had clients that, because our strategy changes based on sort of the season and sort of what's going on in our world, because a lot of folks may not realize it, but just in the last, half a year or so, we've taken on a lot of new opportunities. We've got a lot in the works. We've got a pretty big pipeline coming, and there's a lot of inquiries coming, and it's due to the success of our channel. It's due to the success of the growth of the business. I mean, every year we increase, as far as the amount of work that we're doing. There's also, I feel like I've started about 3 or 4 different businesses through Texas Best, because early on, it was not building barndominiums, and it was just pretty much whatever's going to pay the bills. And I still consider us to be a very small business, but at the end of the day, you're looking to the fact that, okay, we have an audience, we have a channel that reaches hundreds of thousands of people on a monthly basis, but more than likely we might only retain 30 clients or something this year. And so that's there's a reckoning there that goes on. So we're always looking ahead to see, well, how can we better impact the reach that we have, because it's gone beyond even our work. And so I think we're going to continue to try to be creative and try to organize and to do what we can to help others to accomplish building these barndominiums. And that's what this podcast is about, is really we're going to be breaking down step by step, going through the process, whether it's foundation, whether it's even the loan process, or whether it's how to get budgets together, and or maybe to find a barndominium builder in your area. These are key questions that we get asked over and over and over again. And it's critical information that people need if they're, say, out of state, or they're not within our 100-mile build radius in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. So, so those are key things, and we want to reach everybody. We want to touch everybody with the knowledge and the understanding that we can. And I think this might be a good opportunity to do it.
I think it's a great way to do it, because it kind of, as I was saying earlier, is a lot of my time watching YouTube videos or whatever, gathering information, is literally while I'm getting ready. And I think that's where a lot of people are in our society now, is just kind of like throw something on, whether it is audio. So we may say some of the same bits of information that we put in YouTube videos, but not everybody has the time to watch a YouTube video. But they're cleaning the house, or they're driving to work, whatever. They have time to pop on this podcast and listen to the information and kind of spark interest of whether you're looking to build a barndominium later in your life. Like for me, it's kind of become a goal of mine. Like later on, I would love to build a barndominium. I'm gathering all the information I can now with what we do of what I want, kind of my dream and all those kind of things. And I think a lot of people can do that by listening to the information that
absolutely
we're, giving out now.
I think, it's the more you learn and the more you know about things, it definitely gives you an option, opens the door. I remember when we had the finance video sit down, and I remember you saying that, like, hey, I didn't understand that process, but I might want to build a new construction project outside of maybe just buying a spec home. A lot of people don't understand that's an option, especially in Texas. It's a rural area, and you can find land and go through the process. And it's not just for people that are retiring.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that was me. That's kind of always been my mindset, is that was unattainable in some way. Like I just didn't understand the process and involved. And I think with what we're able to give across, with the information that we're able to give, it definitely brings down some of those apprehensions that a lot of people may feel.
So I guess sharing from some of your experiences on your side, how have you seen things transition? Because early on, we were doing a lot of different types of videoing and remodeling, things like that.
Definitely. I mean, it's gone through a lot of changes, in the sense that, like you said at the beginning, we were doing a lot of remodeling. There was a lot of random's not the word, but that's the only word I can think of at the moment, where there was a lot of random different projects of we're doing a bathroom remodel, or we're doing a full home remodel, or, whatever it is, whatever the different projects we were doing. And for me, as a content creator, I'm trying to figure out, okay, how can we hone in?
Where do we land?
I think systematically a lot, so I always want to try to control a system, and that definitely was not happening then. And we found ways to make that work. It was still a good process, but now in the transition of where we are, we have consistent steps of building a barndominium. Mm-hmm. We have a concrete pour, and we have standing up steel. We have consistency on kind of our process of all our builds. And I always know what's happening, in different projects. So that has definitely changed. And, the other aspect of change, as you know, is, we have a lot of projects going on right now. I can't be at all the projects, but you and Brandon are at most of them. Mm-hmm. So you guys are running around with the cameras now instead of me, and I'm editing inside a closet.
Yeah. Sorry about that, guys, because, a lot of times don't have the right mic, or I don't have this with me, or we don't have that. But we always, again, it's that raw element that a lot of people just, I think most people get, and they understand, and they appreciate the fact that you're willing to take the time to share.
To do it. Casey Neistat always used to say that, when he would get asked the question, what's the best camera? And best camera was the one that you have on you, or the best for that scenario. And sometimes that may just be pulling out your iPhone and saying, hey, this is where we are. We just put in flooring. Just wanted to show you guys. Here you go. It may not be the greatest lighting all the time. It may not be the most produced, but it's okay. It's content.
Just staying committed to it. And I would say that during the process of the changes along the way, a lot of this, has been a growing thing for me. I did not have much of a YouTube channel. I think we had 150 people subscribed to our channel when we started, and that was maybe a year and a half, or we're coming up on 2 years.
Almost 2 years.
Ago. And, it literally was me just taking mostly photos and putting a montage video up on YouTube. Yeah. And, came back and visited that later, and there was 20, 30,000 views on it because it was a barndominium. And I'm like, hey, what's going on here? And, when we were building our shop building, which I'm sitting in right now, a lot of the builders or the people that I brought along with me to help me accomplish this were telling me at that time, hey, Josh, what you're doing here, there's a lot of people that want to do that very thing. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. And, but it wasn't going to change my business direction because one person or two people said that. But after, having the place for a certain amount of length of time, different ones would stop by. And next thing you know, we had several projects lined up, and we were off to the races building houses and homes and doing it. And all along the way, making adjustments to try to improve the process, and we're still doing that today. And I think that's what makes it invaluable, is if you're willing to say, hey, you know what, we don't have a perfected system, but we're going to keep doing what we can to make it better day by day. And we did that with the channel as well. Like when we first started out, I had no idea. This has been a complete learning process for me. Matter of fact, if you would have known me in high school, you would have known me as a pretty bashful guy. I certainly wouldn't have been running around with the camera unless I was at home. I was pretty goofball, with the ones I was closest with. But I wouldn't have been broadcasting to the world. But my family, they would probably disagree. But I've had a lot of different experiences in life and ministry and things like that. But it's been a whirlwind of experiences, really, if I could sit here and tell you everything that we've been through. But overall, it's been a ride, this whole thing with social media and, it's been crazy. You go to the Tractor Supply, you get recognized. That's weird. That's a weird deal. But at the same time, we welcome it because it's pretty cool to see your reach, and it's neat to meet the people that are watching it, and that's what I get to do every day when I go out to meet potential clients, and they are people who have been feel like they know me because they've been watching for the last year or so.
Yeah, it's always surprising to me sometimes, the conversations brought up about Texas Best or, specifically what I do and everything. And when I mentioned Texas Best, they're like, oh, yeah, I've seen the videos. I was talking to a neighbor one day and, he had seen the videos already, but he obviously didn't know they were being made in my house right down the street.
Yeah.
Kind of weird. But you were talking about how, you may not have been the most outgoing in as far as on camera and stuff before, but someone did a poll. I don't remember who it was, but they did a poll on popular YouTubers, and most of the YouTubers out there are actually introverted people. Everybody kind of thinks, oh, you got to have this, you got to be an extrovert. You got to like talking to people all the time. And that's not necessarily the case. It's just that you may just be interested in sharing information, or you have something to say. Don't have to necessarily be the most extroverted. So, well,
I think the balance of pursuit for me is determining, do I have something to say? Right. And that's where it's like starting out early. I couldn't go all in, and I wouldn't be sitting down here doing this. But I do believe that based on experiences and things like that we can help maybe steer an audience in the right direction who wants to accomplish and to build and wants to practice the best practices in order to achieve it. And that's the goal, is to learn along the way. And I look at this as an opportunity, even for the podcast, for me to learn as well, to, get some of these people in front of us and see what we can't do to ask the questions.
Yeah, kind of bring some experts on the panel. And
it's going to be cool.
And figure it out. But I do know that was kind of a progression that we went through as well. Like you said early on, may not have been as, not that you weren't willing, but didn't maybe feel as comfortable sharing pieces of information that you may know how to articulate even more now, because we've gone through the process so many times.
Well, and there's a certain safety factor too. Like early on, you're thinking, well, you're basically taking your little world of experience.
Yeah.
In my mind, it's what I've experienced, and I'm broadcasting it to the world. So you're pretty much opening yourself up for criticism for anybody.
Yeah.
And there's, in the beginning, you're thinking, oh crap,
it's vulnerable.
Yeah. And then I think back to some of these videos and stuff, like when we initially started, and to see one get 15,000 views or 20,000 views or something like that, and I thought, oh my Lord, 20,000 people watched that video. Like, I wasn't even prepared to talk to 20,000 people.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of starts going in your mind, and but at the end of the day, just being true to self, and that's what it's about, trying to communicate. And I think there's safety in that, and people understanding that, look, you may not do everything 100% perfect, but just, realize that we're all human. I may not do everything. I may not say everything right. I may pronounce a word funny. I was just talking to a client about that earlier. I said, I make up the pronunciation of words.
Yeah.
I get a lot of comments. People, I say "nache" for a in-wall inset. Yeah. Well, people are like, no, that's not how you say it. You're supposed to say niche.
So is it hearth?
Yeah, instead of hearth, it's supposed to be hearth. These kind of things, and it cracks me up because I just roll with it. But I'm like, well, think about it. If you were wanting to add something to your design, would you want a 2-syllable word or a 1-syllable, like nache or niche. I mean, niche just sounds like, crude.
Yeah.
We don't want a niche in the wall.
It's not as fancy.
Yeah, we need a niche. So, anyways, well, I think this is going to be cool. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to getting you out of your hole for a little while. Sometime.
Get me out of my closet a little bit. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, you can go watch. What video was that when I popped in?
I think it was the steel video.
Yeah, standing up steel.
Standing up steel for the Buena Vista Barndominium. But
okay. May have to put that in the comments so that people understand.
There you go.
My editing closet.
So, yeah, we send them to the hole, basically. That's what we should call it, the hole, where Drew is basically pounding out videos and, things like that. But overall, I think this is going to be a great time and expanded conversation. And we'll be sharing this on our YouTube channel as well. So I think it'll be a great way for people to connect. But if you guys haven't already, what do you do on podcast? Do you subscribe? Do you follow?
Yeah. Subscribe.
Just subscribe to our podcast. Get the views out there. It's right now. It's on Anchor, Texas Best Barndominium, and that's the name of it, Texas Best Barndominium podcast. So we'll be getting you guys all the information. I hope you've enjoyed this podcast. We have more coming.
We'll also be adding on here in the future. We'll be adding these to YouTube videos as well, where we may actually pull out some cameras and even film, and where you guys can go on YouTube and watch it as well. But and possibly IGTV and those kind of things. But so definitely subscribe to all the social medias: Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, all of that. TikTok even.
So, it's going to be great. It's going to be fun. 2021, we got great potential. So, we're looking forward all the way around. We're going to try to be on all of your social media platforms and keep bringing it to you. So we appreciate you guys joining along. And until next time, I'm Josh Helm.
I'm Drew Peterson.
And we're wishing you all the best. Thanks for watching.
Texas Best.
Not watching. Thanks for listening to Texas Best Barndominium.